All right, welcome to the Perfect Movie Quest with the Movie Men. We're running a skeleton crew tonight. It's me, Chase, and Brownie to discuss Chase's pick, Gattaca, which he nominated as a perfect movie. And then obviously at the end of the call, Brownie will nominate his next choice for a movie he thinks meets the qualifications for perfection. But yeah, with the three of us here, I think Justin's going to show up a little bit later, but let's go ahead and get started. And Chase, I just want you to do what we always do. Lay out your case now that we've all seen it and it's fresh on our minds. Lay out the case as to why you think Gattaca is perfect, and we'll go from there. Hit it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Welcome, gentlemen. So I believe Gattaca is a perfect movie due to the multiple layers and complexity of the movie, the fantastic dialogue, the wittiness of it, and as always, it is delicious to hear Jude Law drop the F-bomb. So one of the best in the business. Right, stories about a guy conceived naturally right at the kind of turn of really science fiction, where you can then genetically curate the perfect child. And so when he's born, they're able to determine his date of death, which was at about 30 years old due to heart failure. And man, there's just so much about this where it's man versus man with Vincent versus Anton. There's man versus nature, where Vincent is just working to kind of beat the genetic culture that they're living in. It's man versus self, where he has to really beat his physical limitations. And then and really with the man versus nature, maybe it's also like man versus society, where he has to kind of break those norms. And he does it through very nefarious ways by hiring, what did they call it? Hiring somebody who he basically takes over their life and becomes them, which was Jude Law's character. But just the incredible dialogue, the themes of perseverance and just Herculean feats of strength, endurance, having to, understand space physics that he did when everybody said, oh, he'll never be more than a C student. And yet he was able to rise to the ranks in one of the most prestigious organizations that did space travel, to be an astronaut. So as a navigator. And so it was really just, when I watch this movie, I'm always motivated to really go, am I being the best version of myself? Because Vincent not only became the best version of himself, he became the best version of Jerome. And just there were so many, great philosophies sprinkled in through here. Great cameos of folks that I think really throw back to a lot of us, right? Casey Jones being the dad, Monk being the broker, just right, like fantastic. And then there's the love story with Uma Thurman and kind of her hesitancy, and then her finding out that he's a star child, or what was it? Yeah, like a natural birth. And yeah, anyways, I absolutely love it. It is such a fantastic story of overcoming your circumstances, overcoming difficulty, and just the triumph of man when they really focus and work on what they're capable of too. So that's kind of my pitch. I'm happy to take critiques of it. I think being made in 1997, but having a 1950s sci-fi vibe really helped make it not seem out of place, like trying to be too science fiction in the future. There was very limited CGI in this, for being a science fiction movie. You had the rocket launches, some of the computer graphics, and then the pianist with 6 fingers, but very, very limited. And so I think it just hit this like really sweet spot of capturing a lot of the goodness that everybody hopes is science fiction, while also kind of foreshadowing some of the problems that could, almost like a very, very early version of Black Mirror. So anyways, that's my pitch.
Oh man, I'm champing at the bit here. You mentioned so many things that I love about this movie as well. The 1950s future aesthetic, I was going to mention that. I thought that was so unique, something I hadn't really considered before, but I was watching the movie with a critical eye, obviously, this time. And so I noticed that it was so cool. It's like a futuristic, like electrical vehicles, but they look like they're from the 1950s. And even the hairstyles, like just the clean cut, post World War II, like combing to the side, and the suits, and the general aesthetic. And that's one thing I wanted to mention, that I actually paused the movie. I was watching it with Mom, Chase, when Mom was up here. She hadn't seen it before. And I paused it at some point to grab some pizza and a drink. And when I brought it back down, I asked her before I press play again, because it hit me like within the first 15 minutes of the movie. I was like, this is just an aesthetically beautiful movie. Like whenever they're outside, that yellow filter, that yellowish hue, sometimes that's used in movies to like make the atmosphere look dirty or like a post-apocalyptic thing or whatever. But in this one, it just made it feel like, I don't know, it made it feel like it was constantly sunset, what I mean? It was like the golden hour always. And so I even asked Mom, I was like, when you watch a movie, do you ever notice like the cinematography, the aesthetic appeal, or are you just in it for the story? And Mom was like, oh, mostly just in it for the story. I'm like, have you noticed how beautiful this is? And she's like, what do you mean? And so I kind of explained it to her. And so for the rest of the movie, she had like, she was looking for that. And I think that that's something that a lot of people that watch movies casually just take for granted. Like this movie was just beautiful to watch. If I would have pressed mute, it would have been like, obviously not a good movie in general, but it would have still been like visually pleasing. Like the just, I don't know, the cinematography, the direction of the movie, like inside everything was always so clean and so sterile, which fit within the themes of, him having to be as like precise and as sterile, and like making sure that everything was exactly, to the point where he's taken a hair of Jerome and like hooking it onto the comb. I love just the precision. I love like the exactness. I love the high stakes. I love that he was infiltrating a space that wasn't like, and again, what was cool about this movie is how they explored like how even though something wasn't written in stone or written in the law, that there was still like this undertoned prejudice in society as a whole. And for him to overcome that and like push through the stereotypes and the things that were like naturally pushing him down, all of the societal pressures, all of the societal expectations, all of the physical expectations, all of the like predictions from science and from like his birth, he just defied them all, each one of them. And the level of dedication where it's kind of like a science fiction version of like the movie Rudy, where how Rudy just wanted to go to Notre Dame. And so he was like cleaning the locker rooms and he was being a janitor. He just wanted to be in the environment. He wanted to be like through osmosis, just be a part of that. And you get the same thing from Vincent, where at first he's got his glasses and he's on a janitor crew and he learns the ins and outs of the inner building. And then he goes to the black market and he gets like that guy that he can take over his life so he can infiltrate that space, because his confidence in himself was sky high. And his dedication was like the only thing more than his confidence in himself was his dedication to the cause, to the point where he was willing to saw off his legs and extend his height like 2 inches or whatever, so that he would be exactly the same height as Jerome. Like, and I love the dialogue too, where he's like, Jerome never questioned my dedication after that. And like, it's so cool. And so that's another thing, like the script, the writing, my favorite line of the whole movie. And I remember this when I first saw the movie in high school. I watched it with my buddy Eldon Brooks, and I still remember like being so impressed by the swimming scene at the end. And my favorite line of the entire movie, and I've remembered it since high school because it was that powerful to me, even as a teenager. I remember that line where he's like, you want to know how I did it? I didn't save anything for the swim back. Like, what a freaking awesome motivational quote, man, where you just dedicate yourself 100% to the cause with absolutely zero regard for your well-being, because it's like success is the only option. That's it. Like, there is no saving strength for the swim back. He was going for it. He was going to beat his brother, or he was going to die trying. And that was how dedicated he was to the fact that his natural birth was not going to hold him back in that world. So sick, man. What a great story. What a great message. And the delivery, I thought was just, I don't know. I think this movie's brilliant. Brownie, what did you think?
Yeah, honestly, this movie took me a little bit to get into. If I can speak my truth, I started it up and I was like, oh man, I don't know how excited I am for this movie.
Real quick, Brownie, was this your first time watching it?
Sorry, it was my first.
So
This
cool.
was my first time.
Okay.
I have even heard of this movie before until Chase brought it up. So I was going in completely cold turkey, didn't watch the trailer, didn't see anything. So my initial thoughts of it is it was giving Equilibrium vibes. When I first got in there, I was like, oh, this kind of reminds me of Equilibrium, even though Equilibrium was 5 years later, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it took me a little bit to get into it, to get into that 90s mindset, with the cars driving, they're making weird noises. The doors are opening. They're making like the door's been compressed, with air, like and opens up, makes a weird noise. That took me a little bit to get into, but looking past that and then, starting to really appreciate the movie for its time. I mean, it really was ahead of its time, especially when you bring in the genetics. Some of the stuff that they were doing was certainly ahead of their time. We're still, or I guess not still, but we are now discovering that a lot of what they're doing is now possible, which is really cool. I think that's really neat. I think it's a cool aspect in the movie. Some of the scenes that I really like, and again, let me rewind again. Another thing about those 90s movies that I definitely pay attention to now that we've moved away from is the constant music in the background. It's constant. It's almost constant. It could just be a normal conversation, but there's still something in the background, some sort of music, some sort of undertone of a note that you can hear. Again, it's not every single scene, but it is. I want to say it's maybe 50% of the time that you are getting something. And again, we've completely moved away from that. And again, that was just a timepiece. Some of the parts that I really enjoyed, and you have to give credit to the character, is Jude Law when he was coming up those steps and he's climbing up those steps. And I was fascinated. I mean, I have done that, going up my own steps, chasing after Scotty, my little daughter. And boy, that's tough work. And my steps are carpeted. And he was going up those things and they were not carpeted. And I was flabbergasted. I said that he was just dedicated to that role and doing that. Now, one of the quarrels I did have after he went into that is, the gentleman comes in to come interrogate him and see if he's faking it. And, at one scene, he's just billowing sweat, just all over. He just hiked up those steps without any legs. And then the next scene, then it pans back to him, sweat's gone, and he's talking normal. And so I do have quarrels with that in movies.
Real quick, did he remind me? I feel like I remember him wiping the sweat. Did he, Chase? You remember that?
He did. Hey, right. So I was going to address that. So he
Okay.
did, right? Like he had his little handkerchief, right? Because he sits down, he kind of dabs, fixes his shirt, fixes his jacket. But you also have to realize he was an Olympian. Like the guy, right? And so as he's climbing up, yeah, it's exerting a lot of force. But how quick can like a Olympic level athlete calm down their heart rate and get their body back under control, right? And because he had probably 20 seconds or 30 seconds, whatever. So he takes some deep breaths and he's genetically perfect. So, right? He has all of it. So he dabs off, straightens his jacket, pulls his leg over, and then he's calm. He's right, precise. He's dialed in. So that's kind of where I justify it in my mind.
No, that's perfect, and I definitely feel like that fits the bill. You know, and I didn't take that into consideration. And one last thing, Uma Thurman is an absolute babe in that movie. Holy guacamole, she's a babe. She's a babe. So, and I guess let me give a little bit of backstory to Uma. My first introduction, and I don't know if it's just because I grew up just not watching a ton of movies, and then I really started getting into movies into my college days. My first introduction to her is Kill Bill. As we all know, in Kill Bill, she's not necessarily she's not there for her beauty. And in this movie, man, I saw her in a different light. She's beautiful. She's beautiful. So no, I'm sorry, go for it.
Oh, I just said she cleans up good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, but yeah, ultimately, it was a great movie. It was, again, to touch on Chase's point, the dialogue in it was phenomenal. And I really enjoyed that. Those are the two things that I feel like I look for in movies is great dialogue and, aesthetically how it looks, are my two biggest attractors for movies.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I think our first discussion, or the discussion you first showed up to, which was on our David Fincher deep dive with Fight Club, I remember you mentioning that, and almost every conversation we've had since then, you mentioned that, the dialogue and the cinematography, which I think that's so cool to isolate those two things, because it really does make those two things could make an otherwise bad movie good. You know what I mean? And so I imagine that they could also make an otherwise good movie perfect. And so it's really cool that those are your the things you focus on. Chase, the two or not the two, I've been trying to find, because obviously we're watching this movie under a microscope, and I was like, okay, are there any where am I gonna ding it? And Brownie brought up some good points, and you had a really good rebuttal. I actually didn't think about that either, that he was an Olympic athlete. That's brilliant. Also, I was going to say, when Vincent was running on the treadmill and suppressing his out of breathness, his exhaustion, I thought that was really cool. I don't know how realistic that is. I was trying to think of have I ever been in a situation? I think I have. I've rushed up the stairs to grab something and then rush back down right before one of my sales calls started, and I had to really just calm myself down, lower my heartbeat. And you can, to some extent, just through a few deep breaths and you can mentally calm yourself down. I loved that scene though, whether it was realistic or not, where he gets off the bike right before he gets discovered, and he's walking to the locker room, and he says some short word to the guy standing next to the locker room. But the moment he's out of eye shot and earshot, he just collapses. He's he lets it all out,
slamming the lockers.
Yeah, I loved it. It just it emphasizes how the lengths he was able to go, and the specific, how particular he was at making sure that all of his ducks were in a row, that anybody who was even half observing him wouldn't have any suspicions, which I thought was really cool. So this one, hey, there's Justin. Can you hear us all right, Justin?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I was just about to tell Chase, I love this movie so much. It was hard for me to nitpick, to try to ding its perfection. But one thing I will say, and I wonder if you guys thought the same thing. This movie had a runtime of 100, or it was what was it, Chase? I don't remember if it was 145 minutes or if it was an hour 45. Matter of fact, let me just double check this, because
hour 45.
Okay, yeah, hour 45. So it's under 2 hours, but to me, it felt like it was 2.5 hours for whatever reason. It felt like this movie feels a little slow, and I don't know if that's a pacing problem, but I was thinking that we were watching it, and I was I looked it up on IMDb. I was that movie's only an hour 45. It is under 2 hours. That's insane to me. It felt way longer. But then my next thought was, why? And like, was it a pacing issue? And then my next thought was, what should there have been, like, could they have cut back on anything to make it not feel as long? And the answer to that third question, after like I had that chain of thinking, that third question, the answer is no. This movie's so tight. Every single scene has a purpose. Every character has a purpose. Every word of dialogue has a purpose. Even when they go watch the pianist playing the piano, like they're on a date, that seems sort of trivial, but then you have, the cops infiltrate and they have to escape, and they like that, and that's where like Vincent really starts to get desperate to the point where he's punching people in the alleyway and running. Like he's almost like the charade is up. Like he's like, now he's just, I gotta get to the shuttle in 2 days. And like he blows all caution to the wind. So like every single step of the movie, the first scene when he's being born, that establishes the sci-fi of this movie. Like every step of the way, when he's a janitor, like that is the next step to him getting closer to get on that rocket. Like I wouldn't cut anything from this movie. So I really can't have that as like a knock on the movie if I can't think like, oh, well, this part was a little long, or they should have cut back on this because the movie just felt too long. I just think that this is a movie that deserves to feel long. What do you think, Chase?
So I think it's that the movie is very deliberate, right? Because it's not like they're not drawing things out, but I think it plays into that whole, right? Everything is perfect. Everything is calculated. Everything is deliberate. You are deliberately having a child with deliberate characteristics and deliberate features and feats. And so, right, the timing and the way that they speak, they're not in a rush. They're taking their time. They're being very deliberate and careful about how they're doing this because, like, that's just how it is. But yeah, I agree that. I mean, I think the one part of the movie where I go, could they have cut this out and done it in a different way is when he's crossing the highway, where he's taking his contacts out. Like that always seems a little bit long and drawn out to me, just how long it's taking him to cross the highway. And the cars aren't moving very fast, and he's just very blind and so can't see. Anyways, that part, right? I mean, it's one of those tension points. You have that. You have a Jerome climbing the stairs, right? That's another high tension part.
But that's the point. That's the point. In both of those, even though they feel long, the length was purposeful because the director, I imagine, wanted you to feel the suspense. He wanted you to feel the discomfort. He wanted you to feel like you're nail biting and on the edge of your seat. If you cut the time from either of those scenes, it gets less intense. And so, like, the intensity was there. I feel like you said, it's very deliberate. Yeah. What do you think, Justin? What are you? Well, let's get Justin's initial thoughts of the movie. Was this your first time seeing it, Justin, or not?
No, I probably saw it before all y'all because I'm older. I was 14 when this came out, and I was super excited because it looked like a sci-fi movie, and it kind of is. But it shows rockets and all that stuff. But when you watch it, it is more of a character piece by through and through. The MacGuffin is space, right? You never actually obtain it. At the very end, you see stars, but you never see, did he have a heart attack in space? Could his body? There's so much wonder in the fourth act, I guess you could call it. So this whole movie. To me, I've always liked Gattaca, but it has always been an acquired taste, and I'm really glad that the cult classic label has come to this movie. The pacing is excellent. I never felt like it was too long or too short. It's like a wizard, It's precisely what it means to be, and I really have a hard time, other than maybe the rewatchability of this.
Hey, Justin, real quick, yeah. Can you turn on your dome light or something? I just want to make sure we could see your face as you talk, and I don't know if there's any way to light up where you're at. If not,
I wish.
No.
I'm almost at the office, so
yeah, no, we
can. We can. I can redo this, or I can do the second half in my office just now.
No, it's okay. Just keep talking. I'll cut
Okay,
this out.
so I'll fix this in like 5 minutes. But my overall feeling of this movie is the rewatchability, because not seeing it for a few years, you're like, man, this is a masterpiece. But can I watch it tomorrow? Can I watch it? Obviously, I can watch it with somebody who hasn't seen it before, and I still would really like it. But the emotion is there, the character is there. I mean, this is a movie way ahead of its time. During COVID, we had these, the passes that are talked about, in your DNA, and all these things are coming to fruition now. This is ahead of its time. The science fiction is smart, but it doesn't take itself too smart. It focused only on eugenics, not really rocket science and all the other technology that would go along with eugenics. It stayed in its lane, and it lets you stew over the three main characters, and then I would say three tertiary characters: the detective, the brother detective, and the director, right? But you have Uma Thurman, Jude Law, and Ethan Hawke, and you felt like you understood all three of them. Maybe a little less Uma Thurman, because she was necessary at the end, but in the beginning, she's I wouldn't call her. She had a purpose, but in the beginning, she was just a squeeze or a muse, or just to have a love interest. But then when he's like, I feel you, because I don't, I have heart conditions too, but I'm getting out of here. And so you don't have to live in fear. And I think the whole theme of this movie is, are you going to let fear direct your choices, or are you going to let faith and your own destiny take over?
Yeah, beautifully said, Justin. And that's what we were talking about right before you got here. Is like the level of ambition that this movie illustrates with the main character, with Ethan Hawke's character, is just, it's second to none in my opinion. It's so good. It's funny you say that this wasn't so much sci-fi; it's more of a character piece. Because as I was watching it, I was like very impressed with the sci-fi of this movie, because I just listened earlier this week. I listened to the Ringer podcast, the Rewatchables episode where they did A New Hope, Star Wars: A New Hope, and they kept referring to it as a sci-fi movie. And I'm like, there's not really much science in Star Wars. It really is just outer space with lasers. There's nothing scientific about that.
It's actually,
yeah. It's like
Star Wars is fantasy,
yeah,
in a sci-fi setting.
Yeah, exactly. But this one is like literally at the beginning, they teach you like about eugenics and about how you can. I love that scene when they're, when Anton is, being conceived, and they're talking about, eye color, hair color, and like dispositions, and like he'll still be you. He'll just be the best version of you. And this movie came out what, 97? Is that when Gattaca came out? 97? And wasn't it in 2012 that somebody got the Pulitzer Peace Prize the Nobel Prize for CRISPR? Is that when CRISPR happened, when like genetic modification became a reality? Like, again, this movie is so ahead of its time, but the science, the sci within the sci-fi of this movie is so sound and so grounded. But also, I like what you said, Justin, about how it's not really taking you into outer space. I mean, they mentioned, Saturn's moon or whatever, or Jupiter's moon, whatever it was. But really interesting observation, the way you put that, Justin, that the MacGuffin was outer space, and we never saw it. It happened in the fourth act. Really interesting.
So, Bo, it's interesting because NASA has voted this the most accurate science fiction film ever made.
I read that and I was like, who's NASA? Like, who is this person? NASA.
So, yeah, scientists at NASA. Yeah. Dude, like in some of the like little trivia, right? So Herbert Hoover, right, created the FBI, and I don't know if you noticed, they called them Hoovers, and because they were going around with their little vacuums, just sucking up skin cells, eyelashes, anything. Like I was like, oh, that's clever. There were just little things. What was it? Or Jerome, the real Jerome, right? When he goes, call me Eugene, which is a derivative of eugenics, right? So like just like these little things that were embedded into the movie that just worked really well. Again, a lot of this is also very deliberate. And even in the names, right? Jerome, Eugene, because it's a movie about eugenics. Right. Anyways, just
did you get to the helix? Like the stairwell that he's climbing up without his legs is a helix, like the DNA. I've got a whole list, and I didn't want to drag you guys down if you were not there yet, but I just wanted to. Okay. They used a yellow hue. I don't know if you guys noticed the everything's just had, and I don't know if there was any other. I guess they had some blues in there too. They like to do overtones, and I wanted to see if they changed. Do you notice any color changes?
Yeah, so it's only yellow when it's daytime and they're outside, because there's the nighttime outside shots where it's very dark, and almost like a spotlight, right? Like when they're swimming across the bay, it's almost like a spotlight, very dark and just like enough light to highlight them. And then when they're in the buildings, it's very white and clean. So there are different color tones throughout the movie. I think when they're on their date, the interior has a very blue tone. But yeah, anytime it's daytime and they're outside, it's got that yellow orange wash over the entire thing.
Mm-hmm. I loved that it had classical music. It was timeless. I never felt like it was out of place. Like 1997, 2007, 2027, and 2034, it'll be just as classic. Did you notice Ernest Borgnine is in this movie? That's the other old janitor. He has a ton of movies. And then Monk is the black market guy. You know, all these people that like I know now, but as a kid, I didn't know, their pedigree.
Chase pointed out to us, I didn't realize this until Chase said it, but the dad was Casey Jones from Ninja Turtles.
Yes, he was.
It's crazy. It's blowing my mind.
I think that this is true now. No one looks at a photograph. You know how our IDs have so many other things on them that we still don't even if it looks close enough. We have glasses, we have beards, and we have hats on, and they're like, close enough. Like we rely on technology just like they did. We're blind as well, even today. The acting was superb. And I really love the Clark Kent effect in this movie. It's like they can't believe that you're not Jerome. Like he pushes into, he's like, they're gonna recognize you. They only see your blood. They don't care. They don't see the human being anymore. They see your microscopic things.
He's like, I don't even recognize you. Right?
Yeah,
you become Jerome.
Yeah.
I totally.
And then,
Yeah.
so the crux of this movie to me, though, is this is the only movie that I've ever seen that depicts what I actually see if I take my glasses off. You now know what it looks like when I don't have my glasses on. So you can experience that with me.
Yeah, Justin, you have the thickest glasses of anybody I've ever met in real life, and so I honestly believe that. That's horrifying to think that that's your natural vision.
So
that
maybe that's why,
because of how bad your vision is. It's crazy.
and maybe that's why this is endearing to me too, is because I could relate to the character. And not that I look like Ethan Hawke that much, but I always felt like I was connected to him, from this movie.
Because of the
Um, yeah. I even liked this time around because maybe more nuanced, but the upside down bedroom scene was really awesome. Like they shot the bedroom scene and they're like on the ceiling. I thought that was like, I've never seen that in any other movie, and it was done artistically, artistically. Okay. So, and I really liked, the line that keeps, following me now is, you're a godchild, right? If you're naturally born, you're called a godchild. I thought that was really cool.
That's cool.
And then did you talk about the doctor?
What about him?
The doctor knew the whole time.
Oh, that doctor. Yeah. We haven't talked about that. No.
Yeah, because I really loved that Uma Thurman, his brother, and the doctor were all needed at the precise moments. And then maybe I'll do it now just so you guys can rewatch this movie. But I saw a theory, and I really like it, is that Ethan Hawke, Vincent, was the one that actually killed the director.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so go look about the movie with that kind of lens, and you're like, oh, the brother planted the evidence to go away from his brother. And remember, he says, you'll never find a violent bone in my body. The director himself saying, like, I'm Janine. And then you see him violently beat you're like, dude, yeah, I can totally see Vincent doing this. And then he's like, they think I killed him, like all these side glances. He never says he didn't, right? So just a whole conspiracy. Like, you watch this movie next time, you're going to have that in the back of your mind.
Well, Justin, I'm so glad you said that, because I wanted to mention the rewatchability of this movie, knowing that Vincent's brother is the cop, because you see so many like subtle, like it's a completely different character once the reveal happens, and then you rewatch the movie, you can see him like trying to lead people away from Vincent. You can see him like as he's walking around the line, he's looking at every one of their faces because he knows he'll recognize his brother if he sees him in person. And it just so happens that the last person he looks at is Vincent as he's walking away from it. Like, so many cool little subtle things that make it rewatchable. But I haven't heard of that fan theory, so this makes it even more rewatchable, because now next time I watch it, I can look at it through that prism, which will be really cool.
I will spoil there. He does say he's not a murderer.
No.
Yeah.
When?
But he lies to everybody.
That's true. His whole character is lying.
His whole character is a lie.
Yeah. All right. I want to hear from Brownie real quick before we go to votes, because this is Brownie's first time watching the movie. And Brownie said that he had some trepidation, he'd never heard of it before. It's kind of we've all been there where you're like assigned to watch a movie and you're like, okay. I was kind of like El Dorado, where I was like, all right, let's do this. Like, I'm not too excited, but like, it's a nomination, so let's go for it. And by the way, I loved El Dorado. Happy. And so Brownie kind of had the same energy going into this movie. After the discussion tonight, Brownie, what are your thoughts? Just how have they changed from when you first started watching the movie to when you finished the movie to when we started this conversation till now? What does that evolution of your thoughts on Gattaca look like?
I feel like I fell pretty much in line with a lot of what you guys said. I came in knowing those. I think the only thing I came in thinking, I don't know if I would rewatch this movie.
Oh, really?
I think that was my only hesitation until you guys have now mentioned all these Easter eggs. And so now I want to go back and go, rewatch all these. But had you guys not said anything like that, it probably wouldn't have been a movie I'd be itching to go rewatch, if I'm being honest.
Give it a couple of years and then rewatch it, and I think you'll like it. I liked it more this time than the first time I watched it back in high school. So,
okay.
I think it's an acquired taste. But again, I don't think that diminishes from its perfection, which leads us to the votes. So I think it's pretty clear from my tone and everything I've said tonight. I vote that this is a perfect movie. I loved it. Justin.
It has spirit. It has heart. It has emotion. It's clever. Again, I think like I was on the fence about the rewatchability, but I think it's there. I think it's there. Like we said, rewatchability is more of like heavier movies. This is, I would say, a medium heavy movie. Like it has suicide in it. It has a lot of emotional undertones. That doesn't diminish perfection though. Like just because you can't rewatch, like it's not a popcorn flick, right? If we're just solely on rewatchability, then most of these perfect movies wouldn't be on the list. And so, with that being said, I think it hits pretty much every aspect of a perfect movie, and the dialogue is amazing.
Dialogue's incredible. Yeah, awesome. So there's 2 votes for perfection. Brownie, what do you say?
Yep, chalk that up as 3.
Yes, Chase. Good job, man.
With perfect movie.
All right, so the 4 of us vote perfect. So we got to get the votes from the other gents, which I'll do on Marco Polo, and then I'll splice those in. Without further ado, Chase, you doing the math? Is there still a chance?
Yeah, so we're tied right now.
Okay.
So we need one more vote. Yes.
And then it'll be
to tip it to
I
perfection.
imagine Alan is going to say it's a perfect movie, just because I think we watched it in college, and we have very similar tastes on most movies, but I would say 1 out of the 4 should say it is. But
Alan surprises me sometimes.
He does.
I thought he'd vote perfect on first night, and he did it. So there's always the chance. So
yeah,
the trajectory of the rockets taking off was off. That's not how you take off in a rocket.
The angle was wrong. All right, cool. So we got our votes locked in. The next movie is nominated by Brownie, so I'll turn the time over to him to give us the movie, expectations, what to look for, what not to look for, and let's go.
This movie, I went in sawing cold turkey, so I want everybody else to not have any expectations. Bo, I know you've seen this movie. Chase and Justin, I'm not sure. The movie is The Menu.
Yes, Brownie. Yes. Oh, this movie's great. Okay.
Alan's gonna hate this.
I know Alan's gonna be pissed.
I figured if there was people that hadn't seen it, it would probably be Justin and Alan and Zane were my tops that probably haven't seen it. Actually, I feel like Callum probably hasn't seen this either. So either way, I don't want to give any spoilers. Just go in with an open mind.
I have not seen it.
Perfect. I hope you enjoy.
Awesome, Brownie. Cool. Well, I will actually we'll do what we always do in the group chat. We'll get everybody to vote on Gattaca first, and then we'll have Brownie present the movie, the next movie, which is The Menu. I'm super looking forward to this one. That's great. Cool. So in 2 weeks we'll reconvene and we will discuss The Menu. In the meantime, happy movie watching, gentlemen. Have a good night.
See you guys.
All right. Don't let fear make your decisions.
Love it.